Okay, welcome everyone to the February meeting of Sandwich Town Council Planning Committee meeting. So on the agenda, item 1 is apologies for absence received.
Apologies from council members.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive any declaration of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Thank you. Item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee. To approve the minutes of the Planning Committee held on Monday 13th of January 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in this agenda.
I noticed on the previous minutes that I wasn't present, but I had voted on a number of motions at the meeting, so I'm guessing I was present.
Yeah.
So if that could be amended, that'd be helpful. So.
But you are here tonight, aren't you?
In spirit, if not in body. Yes.
They are.
Exactly. I'd like to propose acceptance of the previous minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Happy to second it. Everyone in favour to accept the minutes? Thank you. Item 4, public participation. A 20-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect to the business on the agenda. Individual representation should not exceed 5 minutes. Written notice of the desire to exercise the right to speak, together with the topic to be addressed, must be given to the town clerk at least 4 hours in advance of the meeting. Do we have any public?
None received.
Item 5, planning applications. Application plans and papers can be viewed via the Dover District Council website. A. Planning application reference 24/01114, proposal demolition of wall to create vehicle access and parking, amended description, re-advertised location, schoolhouse, nursery, school road, Sandwich.
Colin wants to have you bound to on this.
So there's just some points that needed to be checked. I do understand that all previous objections and comments remain, but our comments weren't logged, so I need to contact DDC and chase up where our comments from the previous
We refused
meeting.
it before, didn't we?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
And all I can see is that it's suggesting a change in terms of the description, which, to be honest, doesn't really change the description of what they want to do. I think they've just included, in brackets, one car. So the material change, I can't see material change to, and therefore our objection would still stand.
Yeah, after the Strand Street was closed last week when we had to divert around there. I think some of that parking, it's all wrong. You have to drive on the pavements to get by. So I think we should have to look at that. More yellow lines.
Trouble is, regarding what you just said, there's no enforcement. DDC I haven't seen a traffic warden in town for about 3 weeks, so it's just, all they do is collect the
last one they did was a policeman with a load of tickets out because we haven't got a policeman.
We can't keep asking for lines and stuff because the DDC are not doing their job with the parking enforcement.
Yes, I mean, I thought even the objections of Kent Highways were sufficient to rule it out, and the neighbours are obviously very insistent. I mean, I think this
You've got to leave 7 foot 6 width roadway, haven't you? I think you've got to leave a 7 foot 6 roadway between your mirror and the pavement. So, I mean, because if you get a fire engine, you're not going to get around, is it?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was just going to say, KCC Highways have ruled against this, objected. So I think we should, I'm proposing that we continue with the objection that we put in the previous times.
I propose we did object flat out to the guy opposite in the house on the corner who wanted to knock this wall down and do it, and I can't really see how we can support this when we've objected to somebody who's less than 10 feet away, basically.
Yeah, do you want to say council strongly object on that?
I suppose that we strongly object to this proposal.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a seconder for that?
Oh yes.
Sorry,
Are we going to vote? I think we're going to vote. Objection. Councillor. Holly. That's the trouble. I can't see those two councillors there sitting. There's
No,
none.
no, exactly.
Sorry about those two councillors, but the way this is laid out, I have to sort of peek. 'Cause normally I sat over there, didn't I, and I could see everyone.
I'll keep an eye that way.
Yeah.
I think we can still sit over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Item B, planning application reference 25/00026, proposal erection of fencing gate, retrospective, location former boatyard, 48 to 50 Strand Street, Sandwich, CT 39.
Oh yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm upset. Once again, retrospective. The work's been carried out beforehand, so they knew what they were doing. I do have a feeling of we're having the wall pulled over our eyes because the fencing and the gates are going up, and then we all know there's obviously going to be an application coming in for the land on the side, I guess. But it would be nice. It said in the thing, it said removal of dead trees. Well, I don't remember seeing any dead trees there myself, but there is a arboriculture quote for that as well. But also masonry in part of a boundary wall. And I'm just wondering, I mean, it said that the boundary wall was dangerous to pedestrians, but it hadn't been picked up by Dover District Council or anybody, so I'm a bit worried about boundary walls being taken down in the town that could have some historic significance.
Yeah.
So my proposal is no, object to this.
So I agree with Councillor Carter's views in terms of the issues around this, but I personally can't see there's an objection that's valid in relation to it. But the retrospection, let's not forget, this was flagged up by residents and also the town council, so it wasn't necessarily volunteered by the landowner themselves. However, that isn't a reason for arguing against an application itself. The fencing did need to be replaced, and I think it's down for Dover District Council Planning Committee to determine whether the fencing that's being put up, and it is different, is suitable, because it is different. I don't think, you know, we can have an aesthetic discussion here, but I think we should. In terms of the trees, a lot of it was pretty poor standard trees, and DDC have assessed the impact of what's been done, and again, I think we should rely on them. So I'm happy not necessarily to support it, but I don't think we should object, because I don't know what the material objection would be. Retrospection cannot be an objection, unfortunately.
I've got no strong views on it, sorry.
No, I remember, Councillor.
Well, several years ago, that piece of land was earmarked for the long-desired coach park that we were going to have. And I don't know what happened to that. There was a sort of toss-up between that and the council depot, where there was going to be a quid pro quo with houses and a coach park and a bridge over by the cricket club and all the rest of it. And then COVID came along and it was sort of misted away like 57.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a talk about what's going on behind the fencing when it's gone in. The main posts and the main struts are in. We'll just put the wood on now. So as says retrospective, there's been some speculation of what's going behind it, but I'm not going to comment on that until it comes through. The only other thing is for this council to do is the consultees to make no comment. This is a retrospective, to just make no comment on this.
Yeah, sorry to Mr. Chairman. This is opposite. I think it's the oldest church in the whole town. You know, can I ask all of you on this committee, do you want to agree to some fencing that we don't even know what sort of fencing it is? It could be bright purple fencing. It's going to be put opposite one of our oldest historic buildings. I think this council should have some sort of consideration given to it for these aspects that are going ahead. People coming in, okay, chopping down trees, putting up fences and gates and what have you, you know, they should come to this council and explain if somebody's planning to do something in this town. And that, I would say, is the least, you know, etiquette these people can do. But when it's by a historic monument like St Mary's Church, you know, and that is also, it's our major event centre. That's our major event centre. So how would, and this doesn't apply to anybody here tonight, how would a bride and bridegroom like to walk out of there on their special day with bright purple fencing opposite, or bright pink, or something even more abhorrent? You know, I think that, you know, this council should have more consideration when it comes to planning and what goes on in this town. We're the people with the eyes and the feet on the ground. So, you know, let's get things right. You know, Dover District Council might look in their rule book and go, oh, that's okay, it's 1.2 metre high, they can have it. But is that right in a conservation zone? That's all I'm saying.
I was just going to say, I remember at the boatyard, there's no trees there. These trees are basically rubbish that the self-sowed.
Yeah.
That the trees affected that wall was leaning over. And I think this fencing to me looks temporary, because I remember a planning application coming here for a block of flats, and they were ultra modern, flat roof, glass balcony, completely out of character with the church and the pubs and the old brewery there. So I think that's, watch this space, I think there's going to be a plan coming.
Yeah, and obviously we can't jump ahead of wherever it might go, or make assumptions.
Yeah.
But the fencing that's being, so the fencing that was there was in really poor condition. It was falling apart, it was leaning, it was not fit for purpose. What's being proposed now is 3 bar posts, timber construction with rails. There's no question in terms of colour or anything else at all, and I recognise what you're saying, Councillor Carter, but as it stands, without stuff behind it in terms of intentions, I really can't see how we can object. However, we don't need to support it.
No, that's the least we can do. It's not
leave DDC to determine whether a wired fencing with wooden posts, which are already set in concrete, is acceptable.
Thank you. I share Councillor Zucker's reaction that we can't prejudge what might be behind this, and the current state of the fencing is very poor. So I'm not quite sure procedurally whether the drawings form part of the application or whether it's simply indicative. But I do wonder if it's possible for us to make a comment that the fencing should be in keeping with the conservation area and opposite a very historic church.
So is that your proposal, Councillor? Councillor?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, listening to Councillor Carter, he's quite persuasive. I have to say. It did bring echoes of Fellowship Walk, where
Exactly.
again we had a you know, out of control developer just doing what the hell he liked, clearing land, cutting down trees. I don't know who this owner is and what his background is, and whether he's you know, a good person or not. I don't want to prejudge. Or she, whoever it might be.
It is a she.
She. But just looking at the elevations, it doesn't seem that, as Councillor Schuker says, there's no colours. I'm assuming it will be timber, fairly unobtrusive, three rail gate fencing. I don't see any reason to strongly object to it. It is retrospective, it's been more or less done anyway, so I think we just have to perhaps make no comment, but keep an eye on it.
So, because Council, you said no comment, didn't you?
I did say no comment. It's retrospective. There's no point for council. I don't think. My opinion is we can say comments about regarding what it looks like and conservation area, paintwork and stuff, but because half of it's up already, there's not a lot we can say about it, is there? And the trouble is, we never get listened to by DDC anyway. So I truly agree with Councillor Carter regarding what he said, because it's obviously that's a high historic monument in our town. It's one of the biggest ones we have. So I do feel that we should make no comment because it's half done already.
If you make no comment though, you're accepting status quo, aren't you? So I'd go with Councillor Pennington that we should make some comment to say that it should be in keeping
No
with
reason why
being in a historic area and conservation.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to second Councillor Pennington's proposal.
So,
So would be no objection,
But with
No
comments,
objection,
with comment.
with comments.
A comment to
Yeah.
say that,
It has to be
yeah,
Within keeping with
consistent
area.
with its location,
Yeah.
its proximity to
Yeah,
St Mary's
exactly.
Arts Centre, conservation area, and also just those two things.
Just to comment on, in keeping with St Mary's, it's a 3-bar fence. What should it be?
Yeah.
Because I've seen churches with 3-bar fences.
Yeah.
I think Willisborough
Willisborough's
Church.
got 3
Yes,
bars.
3 bars. So
If you can afford
we've
it.
locked in that they've done it right.
It
But I
does
do
look nice.
get it that it could have been wrong.
It could be.
We could ask for a wall with crenellations and.
Yeah. So all in favour that? I think all in favour. Yeah.
so sorry, that was Councillor Pennington proposing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And
And I was seconding
So,
that.
Yeah. I think all in favour.
we're all in favour to not support it, nor object.
Can I just also add at this point that just because somebody else has put in a certain type of fencing doesn't mean it is correct. So from my point of view, I would prefer to ask an expert, not just accept that some other person has got it right.
I think it just could be temporary. There's going to be a plan.
Let's hope so.
I think, yeah.
Till the building goes in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Item C. Planning application reference 24/01334. Proposal replace existing bungalows with double glazed, existing windows with double glazed unit. Location the bungalow 3 St Oswald, 24 New Street, Sandwich, CT 139.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So yeah, I've just walked past this. I'd just like to assist everybody by knowing you can't actually see from the road. So if you read the application form, it says, can this be seen from the road? I think they ticked yes, it can. Well, actually it can't, because although there's a hazel hedge in the front that's a bit sparse, there is a garden wall, 2 to 2.5 metre garden wall. So you can't actually see the property. And as they said in their application, the only reason why the property is listed is because it's attached to a listed building. So I would propose that it goes ahead, and you've got other speakers.
Yeah, I thought we should commend the quality of the application because there's plenty of photographs showing that the metal windows are in a bad state and they're being replaced with what looks to be high quality aluminium metal windows. So I would recommend approval.
Similar comments, I think we should be strongly supporting it because actually replacing, they've gone into investigating options in terms of windows and they're trying to match it in best style. It's the right way, right approach.
Very easy, it's on the road walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Across the garden.
Yeah.
So we've got proposal and a second now. Okay, all in favour of this proposal?
Support.
Supporting it, yeah.
Happy to say.
Very good design. Okay. Item D. Planning application reference 25/00048. Proposal erection of a single-storey side extension with additional drive-through booth, widening of drive-through lane, paved island for signage and amended curb lines, new access door and finishes, customer order display and canopies to be relocated, installation of a new goalpost height restrictor, alteration to the patio area, relocated cycle rack and reconfiguration of parking bays, associated work to the side, location McDonald's, Montague Road, Discovery Park, Sandwich.
Let somebody else speak.
I was just going to say, we've got 3 applications that all relate to the same building, and unless there are individual comments against individual items, which there might be, I was going to suggest we might want to look at all 3 together. But
I'd
looks like-
second taking them on block.
Take all block. Okay. So I read the others out then. E. Planning application reference 25/00049. Proposal relocation of 3 existing internally illuminated signs and 1 existing banner sign. Location McDonald's, Montague Road, Discovery Park, Sandwich, CT 139FA. F, planning application, reference 25/00050, proposal display of one internally RAM illuminated letter sign and relocation of one internally illuminated yellow golden arch sign, location McDonald's, Montague Road, Discovery Park, Sandwich, CT13 9FA. Right, Councillor White?
I mean, these changes to me look fairly minor. My only comment is that I deplore the use of the word drive-through, THRU, in the application. I don't like this Americanisation of our language. But I think the McDonald's juggernaut will carry on, and there's probably not much we can do about it.
I think instead of being a sort of tandem, one in front of the other, going sideways, aren't they? So it'd be a bit easier. Could be really getting
Yeah, I commend Councillor Wiles on his excellent maintenance of the English language, so fantastic, well done on that. So apart from asking for that to be altered, I think we should be supporting this because it's outside of the town area. It's not going to dramatically offend anybody or what have you from there. And the most important thing, this council should be seen to be supporting businesses. And if they're doubling the size of the drive-through, that means that they're doing better or looking to do better, and in which case they may employ more people to work there. So I for one would like to tell the public that this is this council supporting businesses to go ahead, and I would like to propose the
I'm not sure some of the businesses in the town would go along with it.
all the recommendations I would like to propose that we support them.
all the recommendations.
Second that.
Second. We all in favour of this?
Yeah.
Thank you. Item G, planning application reference 25/00084. Proposal outline application for the erection of a dwelling with all matters reserved, location Puttock Down, 108 Woodensborough Road, Sandwich, CT13 0BA. I think we approved the outline thing back in October, didn't we? I thought we looked at my minutes of October, I thought we did.
So my check was that this links to a previous application which was 24000981, and that was for 2 dwellings.
That's correct.
And we did object strongly because of the impact it would have on the surrounding location. So what this suggests to me is they've gone back to the drawing board and come up with a single dwelling. Doesn't mean to say there won't then be a subsequent application for a single. I don't know. My personal view is because this is only
Sorry, just if you look in the withdrawn application, you can see that the previous application was withdrawn, so it's in replacement.
and because it's so scant in detail, my view would be to reserve opinion until we see a more detailed application that will follow, and it does suggest that's what will happen. But that's just my personal view.
The next one has more detail.
I'd like to second that recommendation because, as I say, it's just outlined. We haven't got enough detail.
No.
You know, is it 2-storey, 3-storey? There are other properties adjacent.
So sorry, the next one is, this one is reserved matters, the next one has more detail. It's exactly the same site.
Yeah, same site, yeah. It was a drawing of the building, isn't it?
Yes.
Northern Timber, or a similar company.
I think we should take the two together in some ways.
Oh, okay.
Okay then.
We're taking them.
So we go 8 then. Planning application reference 25/00074. Proposal erection of a dwelling house with associated parking, self-build, location Puttock Down, 108 Woodensborough Road, Sandwich, CT13 9BA. That's along with the drawing, isn't it? So that's
I think one of the issues that I was a bit puzzled by was the access. It talks about the path being widened, but I didn't see much room to widen the path. And as far as access is concerned, it seemed to be a bit close to the borderline.
I think it was originally a farm, wasn't it? I think it was originally a farm, it was a barn they're knocking down, and this is going to take the place of a barn. So it's being cleared.
I see.
Yeah, according to the application.
Well, it's not far from.
My thoughts are it's directly next to Montague Place, and with Montague Place having not necessarily the same buildings but similar buildings and similar scale. If we've approved Montague Place, why should we object to that one? Because it's an individual one.
Yeah.
So I would favour
It's
it.
brownfield, isn't it?
Yes, oh, definitely brownfield, yes.
Yes, brownfield. So you approve this?
I'm going to propose it.
Yeah, I'd like
Yes.
to, I'd like to second that. If the detail is there, then
Yeah.
I'd like to second that, so it goes ahead.
You're in favour of this application?
I thought I'm just checking where the location is actually.
I think there's no brickwork, it's on
It's on the bends opposite Sunnyside Gardens.
Okay.
If you know where the entrance to Sunnyside Gardens is, it's directly opposite.
Years ago, it used to be in parish of Worth.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, it's St Giles. Yeah, I think when we looked at this before, we were unhappy about the scale of the
Yeah.
property.
It was two.
Because if you look at this, it's 9 metres high, and the roof itself is about 4 metres with the living space in the roof. From memory, all the houses around about are either 1 or 2 storey. So it was, I think we objected that it was higher.
Montague Place, they'll all be 2-storey, won't they?
Some are 3 there.
Are they?
Some have got door windows in the
Oh,
roof.
oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
What's called windows in the roof, yeah.
I thought it was the other side.
Anyway, no.
So, we've got a proposal and a seconder.
Yeah.
Are we all in favour of this or?
Yeah,
I think it gets through it
I
down.
was just checking in terms of proximity, and it's quite far away from other properties.
Okay.
So this is to support.
So support it,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're supporting it. Thank you.
Scrutiny has one of the rights of the second.
Item I, planning application reference 25/00080, proposal installation of external condensate pipe and high level telescopic flue to the rear elevation, location 14 Millwall Place, Sandwich, CT13 9PQ.
I'd like to propose this simplistic change to the property.
Second.
You second, Councillor Sue. All in favour?
I wasn't sure what telescopic meant. It sounds a bit like a...
Goes up and down.
Submarine.
Goes down during the day and up at
It's-
night.
It's telescopic in that when they
This is
put
construction.
it in, that they can extend it or whatever when it's put in, but then
We won't be
fixed.
moving all.
All in favour?
We're looking down it.
Thank you. Planning application J. 25/00068, proposal internal alteration, provide a kitchenette and toilet pod within the nave and the relocation of some pews. Location St Bartholomew's Chapel, Dover Road, Sandwich, CT13 0BD.
I'll go first. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about this application. This was, you know, our oldest medieval almshouse chapel. There's a lot of queries around this one. For one thing, they're putting in a toilet, saying that they needed a toilet there, but to anybody that knows, if you go along there during the daytime, the chapel's locked, it's closed, so you could only use the toilet if there's a service or something going on there. So most of the people that attend the chapel actually only live 4 metres from the chapel. So it's the almshouses that are around it, brothers and sisters, are the ones that attend the chapel. So I've got queries over why it says something about events, but I don't know that there's that many events apart from occasional funerals there. So they've said that they're putting in a toilet and a kitchen into this very ancient Grade 1 listed chapel. So first of all, I'd like more knowledge of why it's taking place. But secondly, one of the things that sort of makes me wonder is also there's currently no water or sewage there, so they're going to have to excavate that ancient land and calling in ex-history society people here, but it says they've done a desktop archaeological survey. Well, I would like to have something more than a desktop archaeological survey done on a site that is as ancient as that. So I'm really worried about that. And the other thing is I would have to object. I don't think from on the inside it says they're putting in contemporary glass doors. Well, I don't know if anybody here has been to that chapel, but to tell you the truth, it looks beautiful as it is. And if you're going to put a pair of contemporary glass doors inside that chapel, then from my point of view, I think that will ruin it. So there's too many unknowns for me to really sort of vote on this.
Actually, I quite like it. I know I'm not sure which bit is the medieval, because there was a big bit Victorian, isn't it? So I'm not sure if this bit's the Victorian bit, and the organ is the older bit. But I have been there to events, and it's getting more funerals there, and I think that's why they wanted to say toilets. And also, when they have the events, they do the tea bar, and they have to take it to one of the houses, so they make it a lot modernised. So, and this pew's going to be put into the other organ, and the councillors.
Thank you. Yes, and I know the current minister is eager to develop the use of the chapel, so it won't just be for the people who live on the estate. And I think it's perfectly reasonable, if you want to develop somewhere for events, to have some basic facilities, particularly toilets. My own reaction is I would support it, but I would want to ask some questions along the lines of Councillor Carter to say, we need a bit more on the testing the archaeological side and ensure that any development, particularly supply water and sewage, was done in keeping with the chapel's history.
I think it is on the plans, isn't it? Because there's a short bit of the sewer just behind the chapel, isn't it? Beyond the door, so it'll only be a short run.
No, it says it says the sewage is actually across
Across
at the back of number 13.
Yeah.
So they've got to dig up. They've got to dig up all the roads.
No, it's in the road. There's a manhole in the road.
Well, that's not what it says on the application. Well, here this just shows you that there's not enough detail to vote on this.
Yeah, I'd side with Councillor Carter in the sense of the importance of this building and the historic nature of it. In terms of what's presented, there's not enough detail for me to be convinced of the need. And talking about events is just a general statement, because once the work's done, then it's forever done. And if we were to support it today, we're supporting it. We're just asking for information, and I just don't think they've got sufficient information to let them proceed at this stage.
Councillor Miles?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's there's not enough in here to explain the justification for it. To me, it looks a bit like the kitchen toilet block in St Mary's, which I think is not particularly
exactly awful.
Shouldn't have been done. So I think it needs a bit more discussion and consultation before we can support it.
Chairman, this chapel, it is a consecrated chapel. It dates back to 1200s, and it contains the effigy tomb of Sir John de Sandwich, who was the founder of the charity. And there's also another tomb next to that, which is possibly even older, and I would think was maybe a Templar. And from the layout of the chapel inside, how they're going to hold events in it, I don't really understand. But it is a very, very historical building, although it was altered by Victorians, which many of the things were, including St Mary's Church. And if there's not really a lot of information as to exactly what they're going to do, then I can't really see how it can be voted on. But it really does contain two wonderful old monuments.
Yeah, so I think hopefully the majority of us, let's not rush into this. This chapel is so ancient and sacred. Let's not rush into this, and I for one could not make any decision on this on what they've presented. It's so poor. Let's put this, my proposal, let's push this back and ask them to come
More
forward
details.
with much more detail. In fact, in the Duncan Graham report, it said that they were considering putting these facilities somewhere else within the almshouses. Now, we haven't got any detail on that, so if they were going to put a small extension, say adjacent to number 13 or something like that, that would be much more acceptable than desecrating this beautiful chapel. You know, so it's
As consultees, I don't know if we necessarily have the power to put this application on hold while waiting for more information.
Can I ask when's the closing date for this?
Well, it'll be 21 days from when we receive the letter. I haven't got that to hand because of the laptop.
sorry, I'd like to question that actually, because we used to have, so in the previous administration, Councillor Franklin would say that if we didn't have enough detail, we went back to DDC and we said, we can't vote on this, you have to stop it going ahead,
I
defer
can
it.
certainly
And
say that, but I just don't know if that would actually, if they felt that there was enough information.
well, that's what we used to do, so who's changed the rules?
That's
So,
fine, I will.
Yeah,
Do you want to-
there is a note on the DDC website that says they basically don't intend to extend consultation periods anymore, that they will try and give an answer within the 8 weeks. But I don't know how exactly they're going to implement that in cases like the present. But I think to talk of desecration is, overly strong language in this case.
some of us are very passionate about our heritage in this room.
Council, well, we all are, I think it's all our
We
plan.
all
Yeah.
are, but desecration has a particular theological connotation which you know well.
Well, you've only got to look at St Clement's, all the alterations they've done in St Clement's, haven't they? They've done massive alterations in St Clement's, and it was a good thing. They've got toilets in there, they've got a kitchen in the back there now, they've got robing up rooms. So that's happening in St Clement's, and St Mary's. So, Councillor Roger, do you want to say a bit more?
Yeah, I was in Westminster Abbey on Saturday, and it goes back to the 10th century, and it's been updated, added to over the centuries and centuries. It's added in, but it's all been done really carefully and with great taste. There's a new tower there which you probably can't see really, but it takes you up into the roof timbers. It's faced in lead, and it's been done really well. So there's no reason why this couldn't be extended with a suitable.
Yeah, we're not saying we can't.
But I think this is a bit of an bodge job.
It's
rather than a really carefully thought out petition and amendment. So all these buildings are added to and changed over the years, but you have to do it well.
Updated, I think even Windsor have got a toilet up there now, haven't they? All the churches have been modernised over the years. So what was the proposal? Then we turn it down, ask more details?
Well, the majority of people here have said details. I've been counting up the number of people, the majority. So my proposal was to go back to Dover District Council and ask for further details about this and what other options were available. In that Duncan Graham report, they just said, oh, we thought about putting this somewhere else, but then we didn't. Well, why didn't they? What other options are on the table? So how come for 800 years everything's been okay, and then suddenly somebody says, oh, let's put a portaloo and a porta kitchen in there?
Yeah, but these days, though, if you've got someone in a wheelchair and they're in the service, belting down with rain, you don't expect them to go 50 foot to find it outside to go to a toilet, do you?
They won't be able to. They won't be able to because it's not a disabled toilet. It's not been designated disabled.
Well, it's a toilet, isn't it?
If I may, I agree with what Councillor Carter's saying. That chapel is a very, very small chapel. It's the smallest one we have in the town. It's purely designed just to support the almshouses, the brothers and sisters that live around it. Has been for many, many years. Yes, there are events, obviously, you know, Mr Mayor and Councillor Franklin, we've got the bun run every summer, there's loads of kids running around it and stuff like that. They have the Macmillan things, they have lots of charity things, which is great because it opens the church up for people to see. Most of the time it is closed, it is locked. I do feel that, yes, we need to get more information back from DDC, but it's whether we reject it or whether we accept it. I personally think we should just make no comment, or just say no, just say make no comment, just say but we require further information at this time, if that could be done. I'm not sure if that could be done, because otherwise we're going to predetermine what we want to say. We just want the information back from the DVC, because if it's very sketchy, then, because if they have got to do a lot of building work regarding the drainage and the sewage and the waters and stuff, even electrics as well, because we're going to need electrics for bits and pieces for the kitchenette at least. That's a lot of work. It depends on where the certain points are to come into. So I do feel we need to get some more information. I'm not sure how we'll go about it, if we do no objection or no comment, but we need further information. I don't know whether the BBC, obviously council, could give us a bit of information regarding if we can get some information.
If there's a standard practice that they don't extend, these are exceptional circumstances. Surely. So we should make a case for that.
Because of the age of the building.
Because of the age and the important significance of the building, historical significance.
Yes.
So I think asking for more time would be perfectly reasonable.
Okay.
So that was my proposal.
Boatman's Hill Chapel is smaller. Sorry to be
That's a
present.
chapel of best.
Yes, it's not
It's a chapel of rest.
I mean, regarding the glass doors, I mean, St Peter's has it now with the glass doors, and St Clement's has it, and it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
That is, I've made the glass doors is my own personal comment, and I don't like them in the other places as well, so sorry, that is my own personal comment.
I think on this, my question would be, has this been discussed with DDC planners? Because it would have been polite and politic for them to go and speak to the planners first, and not just bung in an application,
I should imagine the
which
heritage
could go
is
through
involved.
on the sly without any proper discussion. So my view is we should say we object to it on the basis that there needs to be more consultation and discussion and explanation, because it's such an important building.
Exactly, yeah. Let's not let these things slide, because, afterwards we can't, put
So,
things back.
we've got a proposal that we try and defer it to get more information.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's if it's possible.
And is there any reason why we shouldn't, as a committee, actually visit and actually see? Because I've been there a couple of times, but I haven't been for a while, and I haven't obviously didn't go in there looking to see where a toilet might be located. But this is a very specific. I would see a value in actually going in there and seeing it in situ and understanding, because actually moving with the times is important, but not at the cost of the historic importance of the building.
But if there was also, sorry to say, Councillor Tudor, if there was an option for this toilet and kitchenette to be somewhere else on that site, which they said there was, they don't say why they didn't pursue that. So instead of changing this building, to use my different language, Councillor Pennington, instead of changing this building from what beautiful chapel it is currently, so to something else with a set of glass doors in it, what was the other option that they said in the report?
Although to some extent we have to judge the merits of the application itself, like events themselves, that really isn't a deciding factor. You could make a request to have a toilet and a kitchenette in a building and never use it. The question is it a meritable application that we should support or not?
They're doing a lot of funerals that people don't go to St Clement's or the Norwich, but they like going to St Bart's Chapel.
It's not for us to evaluate.
But then,
it's
which has
just-
got a bit of planning design. So we're going to ask for more time and a better design.
That's it, more time, better design.
Did you have, who was the second?
Yeah.
I don't think we can ask for deferral. We should either support or object.
Well, no, previously,
I've got to leave. I've got another appointment at 7:30.
Okay.
I'll have to leave.
You can support, object, or make no comments.
Okay.
So we should object.
I can't understand this. Previously, we have
Yeah, they're
said,
saying no, they've ordered it.
well, they haven't told us. They need to notify us.
I would need to check into
Who have they notified? Who in this room has had notification that Dover District Council are not accepting?
The trouble is, if we say no comment, it's going to be that, okay, the council don't want to say anything, and then they'll go, okay, that's fine, we'll carry on with it.
Based on what we've discussed, we should object, We should also do our own homework. I'm going to go and
Yeah.
go there and look at it in light of this, in preparation for us to have a return conversation, picking up the points that are going to Dover for more clarification. Has the conservation officer been engaged? Has she produced a report?
Exactly.
You know, because the heritage statement is their statement.
That's right.
So we're going to object to it at the moment then. That is strong.
Are you happy to change your motion to an objection? because
Yeah,
of what
yeah,
information
definitely,
there's like-
definitely.
Sorry,
If anybody does want to go and have a look,
Yeah.
the matron of St Bart's has the key. And all you do is go in and knock on the door of the house and they give you a great big key and you can go and open it up and have a look around yourself.
Thank you, John.
I think it's number 13, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number
I
13.
think
Yeah,
it would be worth
Mrs.
us
Mrs.
sending
Castle,
it
I think, was the
Yeah,
last.
we don't keep the scores around.
Oh yeah, but they need to know where to Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're objecting to that. What in favour of the objecting? Or more information, don't we?
Could I ask also the town clerk, the assistant town clerk, Mr. Chairman?
Well, it should be,
It's been consecrated, the Church of England consecrated. So what are the Church of England saying about this then?
Doesn't come
Because
under
there
them.
was no support from that.
I think
Well, if it's consecrated, it's got to be. I
I
don't
shall
know.
add that to my.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
if you.
You are fine, I think. You're 4 minutes. Okay.
Sorry, just a question of clarification. Do we know if it's under Sebastian's?
No.
No, it's not. No.
So has it got an appointed?
It has a chaplain.
Chaplain.
Yeah.
Yeah, separate. Okay. Item 6, withdrawn.
Sorry, have we voted?
Yeah, we have voted.
Oh, well, hold on.
Can you record I abstain?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have, thank you.
Yeah. Item 6, withdrawn planning applications. Receive and note the withdrawal of planning applications. A, planning application reference 24/00981. Proposed erection of 2 detached dwellings and associated parking, outbuildings demolished, self-build. Location, Puttock Down, 108 Winter Road, Sandwich City, 130AB.
No, I think if you're
Yeah,
happy
happy
with
on
Just
that.
a note.
Yeah. Item 7, planning decisions to receive and note the latest decisions taken by Dover District Council on new planning applications. Does anyone want to comment on these? Does anyone want to comment on any of these? No?
No.
No, then no,
Report.
okay. So we have Dover District Council. Did you want to say something, Mark?
Well done, yeah.
Yeah, but if you've got to go.
If you want to go forward to item
9.
9.
Yeah.
Item 16, you mean? Item 16.
Yeah, item 16.
Yeah, item 16. Yeah, so as you all are probably aware, 57 New Street was on the agenda for the meeting on the 29th of January, and a motion was put forward by Councillor Friend, which I seconded. Then it came to the vote, and there were 15 Labour group members who voted against the motion. I felt that the motion was sound enough as a declaration of intent to have some work done.
Yeah.
I would not personally have included a CPO in any motion that I would have put forward, but I did not want to weaken the motion. I was disappointed that none of the Labour group would actually come forward and suggest an amendment to the motion that would take out CPO, so that the vote would go through, and it would just be under the umbrella of enforcement. Now, I appreciate that's maybe a little bit wishy-washy, but enforcement would have meant that some action would be taken. What I'm worried about now is because the vote's gone against, that there won't be any action taken. Although I did speak with Claire Dethier, who's one of the senior planning officers, last Tuesday when I attended the presentation of Discovery Park, and she is suggesting a meeting with councillors to give a whole picture of what this building is about. When I seconded the motion at DDC, I made a comparison between the rather draconian measures that have been made with regards to events, for good reasons, about public safety. But public safety should surely apply to planning as much as it applies to events. So I'm very disappointed with the Labour group for not at least suggesting an amendment to the motion so that some enforcement action was taken against this property, because I do feel that it will fall down. And if it causes injury or even worse than that, then this is under DDC's watch. One thing I will say is, it's all very well the Conservative group complaining about it, but they had 16 years of doing nothing about it as well. So, what this actually does exemplify, this vote, is that party politics at local government does not serve the residents of the district. They're serving the political parties and not the residents. The Labour group did make some valid arguments about the CPO and the cost, and I get that, but there are alternatives to council taxpayers funding that. Additionally, they made some reference about, if you look at the districts as a whole, is it really a big issue? Well, okay, you could argue that maybe 95% of the residents of Sandwich are absolutely animated about it. If you go to Deal and Walmer, it's only 5%. If you go to Dover and Whitfield, it's 3%. If you go to Aylsham and the surrounding villages, it's only 1%. So perhaps across the whole district, only 25% of the residents of the district are particularly animated about it. But it is an eyesore. It's within a conservation area, the most complete medieval town in England, as Councillor Friend suggested at the DDC meeting. So, in short, I'm really disappointed that some form of consensus couldn't have been achieved between the two political parties. Second thing is, I've made reference to the tree planting at Montague Place, and I had a site meeting with the tree warden in April and May, following that email that I shared referring to rectification of the issues that were raised. And lastly, I attended the Discovery Park presentation last Tuesday. Pleased to see that the buildings are going to have integral solar panels. I asked 3 questions, one about rainwater harvesting, which they are going to look into. Secondly, about the condition of the Ramsgate Road going north from the Monk's Way roundabout directly towards the north end of the former Pfizer site. And again, that is going to be taken into consideration. The last issue I think is more contentious in that I suggested that the shared cycleway and pedestrian pathway that exists between the toll bridge and the south side of Discovery Park isn't fit for purpose. I think it's dangerous. I don't think mixing pedestrians and cyclists in the same area is a good thing, as anyone who travels anywhere between Sandown Castle and Kingsdown will certainly agree to. I'm not very sure about that, anything being done about that, but I have raised it as an issue because increased pedestrian traffic also across the toll bridge is another concern. I know we've had discussions at Heritage and Soundscape about the situation with toll bridge. Update you in due course. Well, I am told that there'll be no work done for at least 2 years.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think he's leaving now.
Yeah.
Councillor Morehouse. So also, I've just to add to what Councillor Morehouse has said, I wrote to the leader of Dover District Council about the vote on 57 New Street, and I received no reply from him. I received reply from the portfolio holder, which was Councillor Edward Biggs, who said that he would prefer to come and address us in person. So I believe this is being arranged for him to come and address the council, which is what we need. But I also wrote to the chairman of Dover District Council, who is the chairman on the full council, who, because it was a even tie-break or vote, it was his vote that made the deciding decision to not support the motion. And I did query him about this, and he said the reason why he did it was because of the CPO, and he said, oh, because of the CPO, that could cost anything up to £1 million to instigate. So I did query him because he had the ability, anybody in that council chamber had the ability to propose an amendment to the motion. And the amendment could have been for, as Councillor Morehouse quite rightly said, enforcement work would be undertaken, but the CPO would not be pursued. And that could have still have gone ahead so that we actually saw some action. But now the situation is we're not going to see any action at all. So that's me personally writing to those people. Now the town clerk has said that I can raise in this particular matter, in this meeting, I can put a proposal forward to ask that Sandwich Town Council writes conclusively together on this. So this would be voted on here at this committee and then taken up to full council, and then the full council would vote as to what's happening. But I think we at least deserve an explanation of what's happened. You know, in 30 years, nothing's been done. Councillor Friends has quite rightly put this motion forward. Both Dover District Councillors have become unified on this matter to try and take it forward, and it's been totally voted against. So we need an explanation on that. So
I do feel that yes, it was a terrible decision what they made. It really was, because it's a bit like the bus stop outside. Nothing's going to get done about it until there's a serious accident, someone's killed. Simple as that. And that is on the close of collapsing. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen it over the last few years, scaffolding going up and up and up and up to support it. But one day it's just going to go bang. Just pick up sticks at the end of the day. I do feel if other councils should be brought to full council, and I do feel that an open letter signed by all 16 councillors to DV to say, why the hell didn't you deal with this and vote this in the first place? I think that's the way forward. But as we've seen before, I do think it's going to fall on deaf ears.
Quite possibly, but the other option is do nothing.
Yeah.
I've got two down here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
In a sense, this is retrospective demolition.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't get permission to demolish it, but he's going to.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I did some research on this, and there's plenty of avenues that you can go down, short of CPOs. I wondered if we could get some pro bono legal advice on this, or even pay for legal advice, just to strengthen the case. Because it's such a big issue in the town, surely if the town council has a legal opinion on it, we can take that to DDC or embark on a wider campaign, petitions, protests, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so my view is I don't think we've lost the battle yet. I think in effect what was happening was that DDC were considering a motion that was put forward. So the outcome was the outcome against the motion. But what we haven't had is any alternative plan put forward in terms of how this issue will be tackled. What we've now really, unfortunately, found ourselves in a position where it's been put into a cupboard. What we really need is that engagement, clear views in terms of exploring the options that we can present ourselves with Councillor Briggs to say these are the things that should be looked at. What happens next? Because I think in effect, what was allowed to happen from that motion was just basically throw it aside, and it's the wrong outcome. But for all the reasons that were given, I can understand why that decision might have been made, but it was the wrong decision So it just came down to money in the end.
So sorry, the meeting, just to clarify, I did send out in the email with the agenda, and I had only got responses back from,
Did you want a response?
yes, as to whether the 18th was, whether you were all available. Because unfortunately Mondays and Wednesdays were days to avoid council because it clashes with the BBC meeting. So it was Tuesday or Thursdays, and Tuesday the 18th was the first day.
Of February.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
In the evening.
It would be a separate meeting
That's
in the
fine.
evening.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Shall we wait to see Anna's meeting with this councillor?
I disagree. I do feel that we should
Just
start the ball rolling, because I do feel that we are not listened to in this council. We're not listened to. That's been spoken about for years. It's been going on long enough. It's gonna be an accident. I do feel that we should go higher. Maybe the Mr. Mayor speak to our MP. Maybe even send a letter to Secretary of State regarding this issue, because it needs to be dealt with. But I do feel that the wind's been knocked out of us a bit regarding this, because it was all like, okay, so hopefully now we need to start going, no, we've had enough now, we need to start pushing it. I have heard about petitions going up, I've heard about campaigns going up from residents as well. So I do feel that the council, us, as a council, need to unify and need to get together and say, right, we need to, all 16 of us need to push this in one hit, I do feel.
We need to lead on this, as we're saying, and also with the question of Councillor Biggs coming along, is at that meeting he will not be able to make a decision or offer us anything at all. So basically he'll come along and explain why the decision took place and what have you like that. If we then said, oh, but can you now undertake enforcement, he won't be able to give us a decision on the evening. So basically his visit will just be to explain the current situation.
So can we clarify that? Because actually that then becomes pointless.
Yes,
discussion. Because a number of us watched the video, I watched it, the live meeting. We should be hearing from them what's happening next, not about why they took a decision. Because actually we can all make a view of how that decision was arrived at, and we may have different views, but actually it's what happens next. And he should be able to engage with officers to understand what is going to happen next.
But, and also, begin a dialogue. It's one thing to say he will come and explain why the decision was taken, but if we are coming with proposals and saying, can't you do this, can't you do that, at least he can take them away and start thinking about them. I would support Councillor Miles' suggestion.
Well, I think we'd have to make a recommendation of the full council, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah. So if we we need to make a decision here, and then that has to go forward to full councils.
So could I suggest, in terms of your original suggestion, it stands that we do take a vote here to support that. That in parallel you are able to take it to the council meeting, which is on the 24th. The papers don't go out until the till the 19th. So that's the day after. So at least you can feed in whatever we get from council.
We can.
Because actually there may be a rabbit in the hat.
Exactly.
Or you may not win a hat.
Exactly.
I do feel though that he will be. I do feel he'll be scripted in what he says regarding, because he's portfolio holders, cabinet member for the Labour group with DDC. I do also feel that I don't think anything's going to happen, because they voted against enforcement and the CPO. So I do feel that we have now a 6-month rule where nothing's going to be done for 6 months, we're put in the cupboard for 6 months. And I do feel we need to push the district councils as well to try and get this back on the table, and to suspend standing orders to get this back on the table, to say no, this needs to be spoken about now, not 6 months down the line.
So all in favour?
I don't know if someone can clarify that for
I mean, those standing orders might allow, if there's a well, it would have to be unanimous. If it was a town council, we'd have to as a group agree to bring something back within that time frame. There's so many voted against.
Can we move on? Can we make recommendations on this committee?
I have done.
Sorry, you you proposed the open letter.
I'm proposing a letter, that's it, that should go through and obviously go to full council, requesting what has actually taken place? Could we have an explanation of what's taken place? But also what Dover District Council are proposing that can be actioned to take this matter forward.
And who seconded?
I'll second that. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
And then all in favour?
Yeah, we're all in favour of
Definitely,
it.
yeah.
Could I suggest that if Councillor Wells has done some homework on this, maybe you could share that with
Indeed,
Councillor
that
Carter
would
in
be
terms of
useful,
options, and
thank you.
you know, it's worth actually, rather than just saying, what are you going to do next?
Exactly.
It's better to say, these are options that we're well aware of could be pursued.
Yeah. Well, I've actually been undertaking that as well, so perhaps we can work together on that.
And I will go back to the speakers and try and confirm the 18th.
I think it's good to talk to him.
Yes.
I think, as Councillor Moorhouse said, we're kind of in a pincer movement in party politics here. You know, we're suffering because, I mean, the motion was fine, but it was a bit opportunistic given that the Conservative Party had been in power in the EDC for years and years and did nothing. And now they're trying to get the Labour, not majority, but Labour Council to do something. So we're stuck in the middle of
Yeah,
this.
backwards and forwards, aren't they?
Yes. In the same respect, with the change in the county, the way we're governed above us, it'll be kicked into the long grass for somebody else to do, and that could be 10 years.
But we have to make him understand the strength of feeling in the town.
Most definitely.
So it's good to talk.
Okay. Item 9. Dover District Council meeting 13th of January 2025. Members to note and receive a report detailing the responses from the Head of Planning and Development, Dover District Council, to questions put forward by the Planning Committee. Attachment 2.
So just to clarify, this is a summary of the responses to the questions that you all put forward. This was initially drafted by myself from the notes from our meeting, but it was then forwarded to Sarah Platts, who kindly ensured that I had understood completely and filled in any missing information. So it's a joint effort of myself and from planning.
Okay. Well, happy to note that. Item 10, Section 106 monies. Members to receive a report from Dover District Council summarising Section 106 monies relating to sandwich. Attachment 3.
So this came from the questions asked and also with some inquiries that the town clerk was making, and so they have provided us with a full list of Section 106 funding currently held and due to be secured but not received.
So, yeah, the big one here is Hamel Brickworks,
Yeah.
which I've been stuffing leaflets through doors there. It must be, what, 10 years old? No, 5 years old. So that money's, yeah, well, so, but that money's sitting there waiting for a suitable social housing scheme to appear within the wider Sandwich area, presumably. So is that something we can pursue?
That's,
I think also sometimes it's like when they did Willowbank. I think as long as it's within the Dover district, it's.
It is.
So we can't just say, because they say sandwich is too expensive.
Exactly.
Quite a random most probably.
It's the Sandwich housing market area, which is a specific,
The sandwich housing market area. Yeah. There's always the village, isn't there, around here, I suppose. But perhaps with this new council up there, perhaps they'll move a bit more once they get sort of established.
I think
There is
one
a
of the
need,
things,
isn't there?
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that sort of like beggars belief is when you just do a simple summation of this, you're looking at £362,943.09 that should be going towards, you know, sorting out the provisions of affordable housing and healthcare services in the local area, and I haven't seen any of that at all. You know, it's and then the second paper, attachment 3, says about funding secured but not yet received. So, you know, this seems to show that there's a very slow or insipid process that needs somebody to try and move this all on, you know. And to some point of view, I mean, I was at Dover District Council as an officer, as a councillor some years ago, where they were considering changing over to what's called the seal process, and Dover were very reticent to change it over. Well, you know, I wouldn't mind them being reticent if this scheme was working, but it just isn't working, and we need to ask why.
Yeah. Could we clarify as well, this is the lump sum that's paid at completion or at the planning stage? So if this is 5 or so years old, is that money
It
sitting?
doesn't necessarily have to be at the finished planning. I think it's very specific to each
It's
particular
usually
project.
Yes, usually trigger points
Yeah,
in the development itself.
And is it sitting in a bank account earning interest, or is it a fixed sum?
I don't believe so, but I can clarify.
I believe a developer will have made that commitment, and they will only pay the monies across when they hit certain targets.
When they've sold their properties.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
The Hammer Brickworks is complete, is it?
Must be at least 5 years old.
Yes.
Getting 10.
10.
Yes. Certainly over 8.
Yeah.
So where is the money? Do they get the interest? Do we get the interest? Yeah.
Okay, but Mr. Chairman, I think we do need to get answers on this, because we're all sat here, we all know that there's this, is it 388 houses on the Pfizer site coming up, which will also be Section 106 levies on that as well. So we really do need some answers from Dover District Council about this, because, you know, that site is going to have a major impact on this town, and the Section 106 monies from that site should be seen to be directly improving the health and care services in this town and educational services. Now, if it's not working before that site's even started, we need to make sure it does. So perhaps could we have somebody here from Dover District Council to explain these figures, where the money is and what's actually happening before 388 houses are built just literally over the other side of the bridge.
And also, is the money ring fenced, or is it, you know, after a certain period, does it just go into the general
Into the pot.
and we lose it? I don't know exactly.
So I just wonder if the Assistant Town Clerk can find the message that came from the EC plan, because around the S106 monies,
I haven't
because
my
Yeah.
computer, so I will look this up, but there are, particularly in relation to that project, there is the section 106, they have, as part of the original outline, there is a document that outlines section 106 monies.
Oh, good.
but there is,
But there
so in terms of what's on the stocks is only related to travel.
Oh, right.
At various trigger points of the developments, as in £100,000 tranches. So it's only for improving the travel, bus travel, specifically bus travel. However, the point I was making is I recall when we were in that meeting that there was going to be a review of S106 monies across the district.
Oh, that's right.
If I got that wrong, I apologise, but I'm pretty sure that was said, and that we would have an opportunity to be involved in that consultation.
We need to be, you see, we need to be, Councillor Tuker, because if what you're saying is true, I forget that my calculations that I did now, but say there's going to be 1,000 inhabitants in that
It's
area.
500 homes
Just-
if they do.
yeah. So those inhabitants are going to need doctors, dentists, libraries, all the healthcare facilities. If some of them are elderly, 50 or over, they may be calling on the facilities of age concern. The Section 106 money is just because they're building outside the town, should not just be on travel, it should be supporting the services that those 1,000 residents will be calling upon.
I think they're hoping to create a village there. They're going to put service there.
No,
I think they are.
That's incorrect.
Well, they are talking about putting retail units there.
That's not services, they're,
No,
they're
but-
putting coffee shops there, you
Yeah.
are correct, coffee
Yeah.
shops, and possibly a retail 7-Eleven.
I know something about the school, extension on the school.
Primary school, possibly if
Yeah.
the ACC deem one is necessary,
That's
so
right.
it's just that. You are right, but of course, don't forget the discussions around S106 money's already been had for this development. They're already, so for
Yeah.
example, affordable housing was not on the agenda
No.
at the time, and that's why there's no reflection in here in terms of affordable housing. So there's a number of things that have been missed because of the passage of time, but I'm hoping the review that's coming up might be an opportunity to go back.
Exactly. We need that review
Yeah.
for
Because
somebody.
as it stands at the moment, there is nothing in terms of the infrastructure within Sandwich getting a benefit out of this development.
Well, that's not acceptable.
That's what they said at that meeting, didn't they? They said that at that meeting, didn't they? We went to.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
already, it's
acceptable.
already, well, it's already.
And if, with all due respect, Chairman, if they're putting more coffee shops over there, which is going to take the business from us here, but when they get ill, they're going to come over and use our health services. That doesn't seem a fair trade-off to me.
Anyway. Anything else about this report? No. Okay. Right, item 11, proposed solar development at land to the west of Ramsgate Road by RBL Solar Limited. Item deferred from Sandwich Town Council full meeting held on Monday the 27th of January 2025. Members to review report and correspondence from RBL Solar Limited regarding proposal to develop solar panel PV arrays on the former landfill site of Ramsgate Road, attachment 4. So that's a brownfield site, isn't it? So I can't see much apart from a bit of grazing land. It's a landfill site for nearly 40 years. So at least it'd be a...
Well, could I just ask, Mr. Chairman, it says here in the recommendations that we are at liberty to ask for Cascade Communications, who I believe would be the PR company for the developers, to come forward. So I would like to propose that we ask Cascade Communications, or even better, RBL Solar Limited. I would prefer to have the actual developers themselves come here rather than the PR company, but I would like somebody to come to this council and explain what they are actually doing and what any environmental effects it would have on our locality.
So
That's a
Would you like-
proposal.
I second that.
Thank
yeah, I
you.
think it's quite a good idea. So we've had people like this
But there's,
before.
there's that, well, first of all, there's no, it just tells you where it is, there's no plans, if there's no like plan application drawings or anything like that, so I think we do need to see what's going on.
Come to a pre-meeting before the meeting.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So not for full council, just for planning committee?
Yeah, just for planning, and then
Because
we
this
can.
came from full council, so I didn't know if you
I
wanted.
see.
Oh yeah, this came, yeah.
That's right. I think I would prefer it to come to planning first, so that we can make a decision on it and pass it up. That's why it's works in this way.
Sorry, if the solar people are going to come here to essentially present to us, can this be advertised or at least made public beforehand so that if the public want to come and see this, they do have an opportunity?
If I can make contact and see what it is, exactly what they're offering, what they're, and then I can confirm.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair, could I just go, I have found a communication relating to the previous conversation around S106 money. So, as things stand at the moment, we're being told by Dover District Council they are not holding any S106 funds which would be able to deliver town council services or community provision in the town. Okay. The meeting or the activity they refer to be done is about future infrastructure projects. So what that suggests to me is there is not any opportunity to go back about decisions previously made. There is an infrastructure delivery plan that they will be doing a further review of. However, when it was constructed in 2022, they have no records of Sandwich Town Council making any contribution to that plan.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So it's future infrastructure projects that we can present
yeah.
how we want Sandwich to benefit from those projects.
Okay. Item 12.
Did we vote on?
Need to vote on that.
Did we
Oh,
vote? I proposed
yeah.
and Councillor Marie
Yeah,
seconded.
we're going to vote that we ask them to come to a pre-meeting.
Yeah.
And if the public can possibly attend. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Item 12, street furniture applications. To receive and consider any applications made to DDC in relation to the street furniture consent application under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982, Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982, street furniture consent. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. 13, licensing. To consider any licensing notices and issues for Sandwich, please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda.
Chair, can I make a suggestion, sorry? So regarding the report that was in the previous part of the agenda regarding, I've just read it, it says licensing, it says Sandwich Council does not have any consultee regarding
That's
licensing.
correct.
So can I make a proposal that licensing is taken off the agenda?
Correct, actually, that's a very
There's no
good
point
point.
it being on there if we're not going to get any
No, that's a very good point.
information from it.
So just to confirm, when I did speak to them, they said that, okay, we're not a consultee. However, I have been and now made it a thing to, because there are licensing things that may affect, and for information, it might still be useful to have it on.
Yeah.
Yes, nice to with, yes.
It might be useful information to be on there, but there's no point discussing it because we have to have our say on it regarding if it's in any licensing matters, surely. Because we're not, they've quite clearly said that we're not consultees for any licensing, so.
We can comment among ourselves though, couldn't we?
It's up to members, but that's what I
Yeah,
was saying.
I support the idea that it's good to be informed, even if we don't have a formal responsibility or
Yes, so,
formal role.
so I think what we could do is have it on the agenda and have it by exception. So if there's anything that anybody actually has a concern about or wants to raise, then we should do it, but it should be given just as on for information day, and we have the opportunity by exception
To basically receive a note what's coming.
Also, I just wanted to add to that, that although ourselves are not consultees on it, I did ask our Dover District Councillor whether he was, and he said he does get consulted on licensing applications in Sandwich. So I've asked him if he would be very kind as to bring them to this committee. So.
and then we can feed any information to him to take forward for us.
Okay.
More than one way of skinning a cat.
Okay, thank you. Item 15, correspondence. To receive and consider correspondence relating to planning matters, including notification of appeals against refusal of planning application. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. So item 16 has been covered. So item.
I think, sorry, I think you might have missed item 14, enforcement.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, getting hurry now. Item enforcement. To consider any enforcement notices and issues received from Dover District Council, please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. Okay. So item 16 we've covered, haven't we? The more has gone. Item 17, date of next planning committee meeting, 10th of March 2025.